Words, such an integral part of language. But what happens when we take simple words with simple definitions and ask people what they mean? These are questions for humanity. What is normal?
I don't think anything's really normal. Normal is boring.
Uncomfortable. When I think of normal, the sad part is I know that most normal people, well, no, things that are normal, that are acceptable, I don't like pretending to threaten your daughter's boyfriend as he's taking her out to the prom. Expecting. I mean, that was just one example right there. The ball and chain jokes, as much as I would love to own a house, but the whole concept of if you don't conform to this one little box, you're not normal. I don't know, just normal is so, you cheat on your spouse, you spend money you don't have, you it's just too limiting and too ugly. I don't know, it doesn't seem to take into account other people, just your own gratification or checking off boxes or living this comfortable little life that doesn't involve being bigger than you are.
Normal is a trend. Normal is whatever society says at that time is the status quo, is the majority. It is so ever changing. The way I normally wore my hair 30 years ago, that was considered completely the status quo, would be absolutely unacceptable today. I mean, stop the press is unacceptable, horrible, horrible appropriation, not okay. What we can talk about in polite conversation changes. Normal changes. I hope that in this day and age, no one actually strives to be normal, because boy, that would be exhausting. Every morning you'd have to sign on to every social media platform and see what normal is that day. And then if we all did it, of course, we'd all be boring because we'd all be exactly the same. But to me, that's what normal is. It's not something to strive for. It's like a fashion trend. It's going to go away. It's going to change. And I prefer things that are a little bit more timeless, not so timely.
There is no normal. If I were to define normal, I'd define normal as the humans that I see everywhere I walk, that follow the pack like sheep. Get up, go do this, follow the same routine, go back home, sleep, get up, do the same thing over and over again. Sheep.
Normal is a lie. Normal is, to me, normal has always been very boring. Normal is, this is what you're supposed to do, this is what you're supposed to be, this is what people are telling you to do. And I've never liked normal. I've always thought that normal is this thing that people aim for, but it's like aiming to be boring.
Well, there's like this idea of what normal is, but it's a way of people, it's a view of things that people have, of the average of what's out there, of other people, but it doesn't exist really. People have this idea that there's a normal person out there that they want to be like, if they're so inclined to be a normal person. But there isn't really a normal person, because there's so many different ways to measure and quantify people that it's it's again one of those useless definitions that people have, that you can have someone, you might think that they're a normal person, whether you mean that in a good way or a bad way, and you may not know about all the other things that make them abnormal, or above average, or below average. So it's one of those things that people get hung up on, whether they're normal or not, because they want to fit in a social group. But that's not really the way you should look at it. There are certainly behaviors you can do or not do to fit into a social group, politeness, rudeness, etc. But those are not things that most people mean when they want to be normal. They want to fit in with a crowd, wear the same clothes, do the same things, like the same things, dislike the same things, act the same way. And those things are all, in my opinion, just boring and not worth achieving. There's no point in changing yourself to be like other people. You should always be yourself and find the group of people that you fit in well with. Sometimes that's a hard thing to find if you are not exposed around a lot of people, and so that can be socially isolating. But there's always a way to find people who are similar in some area of your life, and then maybe you're unique in other areas of your life. The human experience is so vast and diverse that you're probably rarely ever going to find that one person who's just like you, and if you do, you should marry them. Or if you don't like that sort of thing, you want to find an opposite for you, then marry that. But you're not going to fit into some definition of normal because it's some weird subjective thing that someone else defines, never you. So it means the definition can always change, and it can always change away from you. So, in my opinion, it's a worthless word. Unless you're talking about mathematics, and it has a bunch of different useful meanings.
I've never experienced normal, so I wouldn't know. I wouldn't want to know either. Looks boring. I see it on TV.
I guess normal would mean that it's kind of just, it's just there, like it's just static. Like in terms of your emotions, you're not too like there's no excitement to it, nor is there any grievance to it. It's just kind of like you're just there, I would say, because not a lot of things are normal these days. So to consider something that's normal, it could mean anything. It could be. It honestly just depends on how you see things as normal, I guess. And to me, normal would just be like, you know, you're just doing you. You know, you're not really. You're not different. But you're not also like. There's nothing wrong with it, I would say.
Normal is us. I mean, there's no normal like act normal, dress up normal, dress up like a normal person. I used to hear that a lot in my own personal life. Be normal, but at the same time, like, what's normal? This is normal. We're humans, and we're all different, but at the same time, we're all the same. We're normal in our own ways.
Normal's different for everybody. See, that's the problem. And what's normal for me is not normal for somebody else. But I guess it's just being comfortable with yourself, with who you are, and with the way life is. I think that's the best way of explaining normal. Because like I said, everything's different for everybody, so normal is just that, being comfortable with who you are and the way life is.
I think normal's like you sort of act to what you're expected to be act as or whatnot. Being normal, you just kind of just go with the flow with everything that happens in society or whatnot. You don't try and stand out, I guess. You're just there.
I don't think normal can be defined. I think that it is a relative term to the individual person or thing.
what most people would see as like, oh, hey, this, like, if somebody's acting differently than most people would act, then that's considered weird. But if like most people are like hanging out and having multiple different friends and they're like talking and having fun, I guess that would be like considered the normal that most people would consider.
Well, there isn't really any normal. Everybody has their own way of living and talking and doing things their own way.
I don't think there's a normal, because everyone can say they're normal, but there's not really a thing of normal.
There is no normal. Everybody's normal in their own way. It's just who you are. We use normal when we mean usual, or like this is the way things are usually done around here, or things like that. That's. But when it comes to people, there's no real normal.
What someone is comfortable with, whether it be the surroundings or how they dress or what they do.
I don't think anything's really normal. There's always a little glitch of some sort going on with things, but I guess normal is, as we know it, we know the sun's going to rise and the moon's going to, or the sun's going to rise and the sun's going to set. That's pretty much normal, but a lot of things can happen in between. So I don't think there's a real set normal, if I can say the word, normalcy in anything.
Oof. Normal? Honestly, I want to say it doesn't exist. That's my gut instinct, because everyone's like, oh, normal's overrated, normal doesn't exist. But I think there's an idealistic mindset that people have, and that normal is, I don't know, you're involved at school. Normal is you're not, I don't know. Normal can be multiple different things in multiple different aspects. I want to say it doesn't exist, but I think people have, in the world, I think normal really doesn't exist. I just think it's, a concept we've all accepted and grasped, and we're like, oh yeah, that's normal. Like a heterosexual couple, oh yeah, that's totally normal. Yeah, you see a homosexual couple and you're like, oh, that's a little not normal, and it's like, that's okay. That's, it's not our idea of normal, but that doesn't mean it's bad. I think normal's a concept that we've created and accepted as something that we've just, grown up with, yes, that's normal. Oh, that's not normal. But I don't think it really exists. I think it's just something in our minds.
Normal is what the main head of a community says is normal, of what the majority of people are.
Normal. That's an interesting thing. I think it's kind of like common sense, Normality is something that I don't think it was used to kind of set a standard, but I think in this day and age, normality is more of, it's still that standard of thinking, but at the same time, it's what you make of it. So I think, a lot of people choose not to be normal, or they choose to be in their own essence of normality. But I think it's kind of just a term that we usually loosely use for someone who kind of fits in to the bigger crowd. And I don't think it's a way to describe kind of a identity of belonging. And I think a lot of people kind of look at it as a negative term, and some people embrace it because that's what they want to be. They want to be included. But I think other people don't want to go with the lemmings and jumping off a cliff.
A default setting that that society ascribes to?
I think normal is what your family sort of makes you believe is normal. So that's where it starts, and then you kind of create your own normal. So if you're taught that people do a certain thing or act a certain way, then that's what's normal until you grow old enough to change that.
I don't think anyone really knows. There's all different types of, new normal, and if you're not normal, then people think you're weird. I think it's okay to be weird.
I'm a child. I'm an old man, really, but I'm a child of the 60s and 70s. My understanding of what normal is has changed every decade. So, normal is not something society respects anymore. In fact, sometimes I think society goes out of its way to stretch the boundaries of normalcy. But we're all human beings. We all eat, we all wear clothes, most of us, to some degree or another. And we all breathe, defecate, whatever it takes. But we all love each other. And I would like to see normal just a sharing of love. I mean, neighbor to neighbor, across the damn picket fence, across the street, down the block, at the coffee shop. You know, you order a pizza. The guy's late. You don't have to be rude to him. Normally, everything's fine. But let's create a new normal where everything is harmonious.
Normal is, I think, staying mediocre. Being boring. Normal is that satisfactory level.
Unrealistic.
Normal, I guess, would just be being a respectable member of society. Maybe not being, like, overly friendly in public, but, I don't know, maybe, but just keeping, I don't know, a certain, like, courtesy in your mind, being respectful to others, not snapping at other people, and aside from that, maybe normal, I would say, is kind of like average. You just try your best to be your best.
I think normal is kind of you at your quiet time.
That depends on the people. You know, when you're grading school papers, you would think normal would be the average when you put them all together in the center. And it may be that way with society as well. But for each individual, I think normal is something that they come to on their own to determine what is normal for them.